Here we go. We are live. Okay. Hopefully the sound and everything's okay, guys. Please let me know in the comments section. So I'm rambling away here, and I'll make sure you can hear. Love Minis says hi. Hello, Love Minis. Let me just close that one down. Make sure we've got a clear stream. Right. And Marcus is in here. Hello, Marcus. He says hello. I can hear you. And Hilma Smarison Frodel says hello. Bennett Shakosi, what up? Chris Hughes, evening mate. Schaefer's Houses. Squig Boss Mad Knobs, we can see you. That's good. And well, it depends, you know, maybe it's not so good. I've been told I've got the face for radio. So Blizz as what's up, Stevo? So thank you guys. Orc stuff's there as well. Green Tide 40k. Hello guys. Let's get those likes going. Yeah, don't worry about likes and stuff, guys. You know, I'll tell you right now, I've demonetized this video. I didn't think it was right to sort of, like most of my, not that I go rampant with advertising and stuff. I've never adverts in the middle of my videos unless they're incredibly long. I generally put an advert at the beginning of the video and at the end of the video, so it doesn't disturb your viewing of the videos. I don't get greedy with it, but I do have advertising to raise money to, you know, fund the channel. But this video, this isn't about me extending my reach, or you know, this is a bit more personal than that. And it's something I was planning to do quite a while ago, actually, and I intended to sort of plan it a bit better than this, but this World Mental Health Day sort of sprung up on me today, and I've been planning to do a video talking about mental health issues on World Mental Health Day, and then I just completely forgot that it was right around the corner. And I was at work today, and there were flyers and things being put up on the notice boards about World Mental, and I thought, geez, right, okay, I need to do a video. And I was thinking about how I was going to do it, because I'd kind of had an idea in my head for a while, and I thought, you know what, the easiest way is just going to be just to go live and just, you know, and that way it'll open out to a discussion, and hopefully, you know, you guys, I'm going to Green Tide says, I had no idea it was Mental Health Day. Yes, across the whole world, and yeah, it's I will get to all of it in a minute and talk about World Mental Health Day itself. I want to talk about my personal issues that I've had over the years with mental health and stuff. I plan to share quite a lot in this video that I probably wouldn't usually do, but which is quite a big step for me, I've got to say, because it's not easy talking about these things, but that's why it is important that we do talk about them, for very important reasons, as we'll get into in a minute. So Bennett Shakosa says, so not an orc video. Well, not really, not orc specific, but we will talk about on this video, I will talk about like Games Workshop and the hobby, and you know, how it's helped me with my mental issues, and how it's probably helped other people out there, and just, you know, get into it a little bit, you know. Marcus says, thanks for sharing. You're more than welcome, buddy. You're more than welcome. So how many people have we got in here currently? I'm just giving it a chance for some more people to jump in and things, because like I said, I didn't. Captain Morgan, how are you, buddy? How are you? It's good to have you in here, mate. So we've got 20 people in here currently. That's good going, because like I said, I plan to sort of, if I'd done this right, I would have had this announced a lot earlier and given everyone time to, you know, set a bit of time aside and actually schedule it in. So I'm sure this will go live, and then I'll have the comments later on down the line. Oh, I missed it. I didn't know you were on, and apologies for that, guys. It's completely my fault. It was just, you know, real life gets in the way, and you forget things that are coming up. I forget important dates and stuff all the time. My memory is terrible. So yeah, it was lucky that I just saw the flyers today. Otherwise I would have just missed it completely and missed the opportunity. And you could do a video like this at any time, but it felt relevant to do it today on World Mental Health Day. So what is World Mental Health Day? Well, it's basically it's they do these days for everything these days, isn't they? There's a day for everything. It almost seems that any day of the year it's a, I don't know, it's World Daffodil Day or something. You know, they do these days, and most of them are just a kind of nonsense, in my opinion. But this, to me, is something that is very close to my heart, and it is really important. And these things can seem gimmicky and stuff at times, and you think, well, it's a day. What actually happens on it? Does anyone do anything? What's the purpose of it? I think the very purpose of World Mental Health Day is just to bring it to the forefront of everyone's attention and reduce the stigma that's attached with it, because believe it, there is still a stigma attached, much less than there used to be, but there is still a stigma attached to talking about some of these issues and things, and it's not easy issues to talk about, and it's just bringing it to the forefront, and it's letting everyone out there know that there's numbers you can call, there's people you can talk to, whether it be friends, families, whether it be impartial counsellors, psychiatrists, helplines, whether it just be your spouse, your significant other, your friends, your family, whatever. There are people you can talk to, because people suffer alone with these issues a lot, especially men. Not exclusively. Everyone suffers, whatever age, sex, race, religion you are. Mental issues, they're indiscriminate. Anyone can suffer from them, and most of us, I would say the vast majority of the human population, if not all, suffer with some kind of mental illness or issue at some point in their life, whether it be minor or quite severe, whether it be a chronic condition that lasts your entire life, or whether you go through spells of it, or you have a patch of it and then you're fine again. Most of us deal with these kind of issues at some point in our lives, and for men in particular, less so nowadays, but still pretty prevalent, is that we don't like to, we're kind of macho. We tend to, we're not as open with our feelings and stuff as women are, generally speaking. That's not a blanket statement. There are women that are closed off and there are men that are very open, obviously, but we do need to kind of shake that stigma and shake that thing from ourselves, our sort of masculine, stubborn sort of feelings that we have, and be more open about it and be prepared to talk about these issues, because not only does it help us dealing with the issues, knowing that someone out there cares about you enough to listen to you and understand, and just be able to just offload some of this stuff in your head, or offload it to someone else, is important. But in doing so, you're also helping other people, because you're seeing other people share their issues and share things, and it lets you know that you're not alone, that other people suffer just like you do, and everyone is slightly different, but you can see that even people that seem like they've really got their shit together, you would be surprised. You really would be surprised. I've just turned 39 just about a few days ago, so I'm getting a bit long in the tooth now. So I have lived a life, and I've seen a lot of issues and things, and I've within myself and with others around me and stuff, I've seen various mental health issues and disorders and things, and people breaking down and things, and I've seen these issues, and like I said, even people you might think on the surface look like they have it all, they've got all the money, they've got the good job, they've got the nice car, they look like they've got a care in the world, you would be surprised. You really would. Confidence issues, depression issues, anxiety issues and things, these are so common, but much more common than we realize, because people generally conceal it and they hide it well and they bury it down and they cope with it. They learn coping mechanisms and strategies and stuff. So yeah, please, just if there's one message you can take out of this video, and you are suffering with mental issues, or someone that's suffering with mental issues, understand that you're not alone. You're not weird, you're not mental, you're not crazy. That these are actually, it's actually really normal. It might make you feel like you're abnormal in some way, but actually the vast majority of the population is dealing with this sort of stuff, and so it makes you in the majority, and so it makes you normal. Let me just quick, before I carry on talking about this stuff, I want to just have a look through the comments section quickly. So Green Tie 4K says, I had no idea it was mental health day till now. Yeah, me neither until today, mate. I knew it was coming, but I sort of forgot about it. Who else we got? Orcs Stuff says orcs are mental. Yes, they are, especially weird boys. Weird boys definitely have mental issues. Hey, Lee Rogers is in here. Hey, wow. Blast from the past. Hello, buddy. It's more openly spoken about than when we were kids. Yes, and I plan to get into that actually, buddy, and I want to talk about that because you make a really good point there. It is definitely, and that's why days like today are really important, because these are part of the reason why there's less of a stigma and it is more spoken about these days, so much more. A lot of people saying hello there. Green Tide 40K says most special days are fluff, not a lot of substance. Yeah, true, but I think this one's different. This is important. Lee Rogers says there was talk of keeping off of social media for 2 hours this afternoon. Ironic, really, considering that's how 90% of us keep in touch. True, but social media does have a lot to answer for. It's like anything in real life. There's a lot of positive sides to social media. There is also a lot of negative sides, and I think that a lot of mental issues are sometimes caused by social media, or the people within social media, or how it's used, or are certainly not helped by it at times. Other times they can be really helped by it, but social media that's a tricky, it's almost a whole separate topic in itself. But yeah, I've got some mixed feelings on social media. Green Tide 40 says, go on, Stevo. Thank you, mate. Thanks for the support. CM Wargame says, I mean, from my perspective, the state of mental health services is appalling. My experiences with my daughter is that they're just not fit for purpose. I'm sorry to hear that, mate. I'm sorry to hear that's been your experience. I have gone through various things, which I'll get into in a minute, of the NHS, and I have had a mixed bag of experiences with the NHS in terms of mental health. It's not perfect, but there is help there, and I think sometimes you've got to kind of try various different avenues before you find something that works for you, whether it be the right counsellor, whether it be the right medication, or whether, whatever. There's a whole range of different treatments and ways to cope and things, and there's so much out there, and I'm far from an expert. I'm just a person that's had experiences like you guys. So I want to be very careful I want to be really, really careful, because it would be wrong of me to offer advice to anyone out there, because advice can be a dangerous thing to dish out, especially with issues like this that are very tricky issues to talk about and things. And so advice is very easy to give, but it's quite important that if anyone dealing with issues, especially if they're serious issues, that they get the right advice. And so, yeah, I want to be really careful that I don't sort of push some sort of agenda on anyone, or speak from a position that I know what I'm talking about in some way. I'm literally just, I don't know anything more than anyone else other than my own life experiences, just like everyone else out there. So, I want to talk about, I'm going to talk about more my experiences, and then talk about things within the hobby itself and stuff. So what else we got? Crimson BRS, deleting all my social media was the first step of me getting out of my last rut, and that was about 2 years ago. I will get back to that point in a minute, buddy. Excited to see you talking about this. A lot of people ignore their own mental health, especially among older generations. There is a stigma among some groups about discussing it. There really is. There still is. In 2019, there is still a stigma about it. You are very true in what you say there. Because some of the staff are really nice and care. Just a shame they always get their funding cut and are overworked. Yeah, the NHS certainly within this country doesn't always get the best funding and stuff, and it can be that obviously the money side of issues, within that's a whole sort of political issue within itself. And various countries, a lot of people here, we've got Green Tide from Canada and some people from America and stuff, and they've all got their own different healthcare systems which are very different from ours. I don't know how it differs over there. Green Tide, for says, mental health advice is kind of like walking a tightrope. I just talk about my own experience. Yes, yeah, it is like walking a mental tightrope, because you don't want to send someone on the wrong path that either won't help them or potentially make it worse. That's why you've got to be so careful. But just talking and listening sometimes is enough in itself. Listening to someone is helping. Yes, and it is sometimes listening to other people's issues can help you with yours, and sometimes just having someone listen to yours is good, and just being able to have an open, honest conversation can be really helpful. Squig Boss Mad Dom says, buy a dog, it really helped my best friend. Yeah, dogs are awesome. All pets are awesome. Pets love you no matter what. They never judge you. So yes, they can be a great help. Yeah. Gamers on Games says, acting as if you are a doctor is toxic and detrimental. I totally agree, buddy. I totally agree. It's very dangerous to just assume you know the right answer, because it's very presumptuous to do that. Don't ever presume you know what's going on. So even when they've spoken to you, they're talking to you, don't ever presume you have any right to give advice or send them on a certain path. People give advice because they're trying to help sometimes, but like I said, you've got to be so careful you don't send them off on the wrong path. Sometimes just listen to them, just help, and it's a difficult subject. It really is. Sebastian says, hello Stevo, what's up? Pets are so soothing. Yes, they are. I missed the beginning. What is your diagnosis? My diagnosis personally, do you mean? Green Tide says, or buy a snake. Yep, I've got one of them. And the green one says, Stevo, the NHS gets about 20% of budget of 145 billion. Health professionals also say they don't know it all either. Well, yeah, totally, because you've got to think as well. You think back to years ago, God, their answer was to lobotomize people and lock people up in the madhouses and things and stuff. So I know we're going way back now, but even in sort of recent memory times, they're learning so much still in the fields of like mental health and psychology and stuff. It's very different from treating other things. I'm a nurse on an inpatient psych unit. The stigma is still pretty bad. Better, but still pretty bad. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Matt. It's going to be a tough job. Hats off to you there, buddy. Gamers on Games, if you are uncomfy talking about it, I apologize. No, well, I say no, not at all. A little bit, buddy, if I'm honest, but this is the reason I'm doing the video. So yes. Okay. So just to share my story and thing, and the only reason I'm doing this is because I just felt inspired to, because of today, and I thought if I can share sort of openly my story, my issues that I've suffered with on and off over the years, then if it can in some way help someone out there who may be suffering similar issues, or maybe slightly different, but still could relate in some way, and maybe it can just help them, to give them the courage to sort of share and seek help, and and maybe not even seek help, maybe just feel a bit better about themselves and understand that you're not alone, you're not weird. Lots of us suffer with these things a lot, a lot. So just before I get into it, Gamers on Games says, for what it's worth, I've got PTSD. And cyclical manic bipolar. Blimey. Well, buddy, thanks for sharing. That's really brave of you to share that. That's and yeah, fair play to you, buddy. Fair play to you. That's so yeah, my mental health issues, I'd say, started in my teenage years, and I at about the age of, I would say they started, or certainly I identified them about the age of 15, sort of just as the time I was finishing high school, was when I started suffering with mental health issues and depression, like quite severe depression. And it was crippling, absolutely crippling, because I was at that age completely unprepared for how to deal with that. I'd had, periods in my life, I wasn't always a happy childhood and stuff. It wasn't a horrendous childhood, but I'd gone through sort of various divorces and family breakups and things. And I had suffered some bullying at school at one point. And so, yeah, I'd had gone through periods of being unhappy, let's say, miserable things. But this was different. This was just, it was like a black cloud. It came over me and it hit me quite suddenly, and just I found it impossible to sort of enjoy anything, or to just to operate normally and snap myself out of it. And there was a phrase, and it's a common phrase I'm sure a lot of people heard, is snap out of it, cheer up, bug up, and it's so easy to say that, and it's one of the worst things you can say to anyone like that. It is, because it's not just like feeling a bit down. It consumes you. It covers everything. Things you usually enjoy doing, you don't want to do. You don't feel like going out socializing. You don't want to. For me, at least, I just sort of, at that time, I didn't want to be alone, but also I didn't. It was difficult. I didn't want to be alone, but I also sort of didn't want to socialize almost. It was really fucking awkward. And I was breaking down in tears. I was not sleeping at night. I was calling in sick at work a lot. Just wanted to avoid work like the plague. I just wanted to just lock myself away a lot of the time. And I found it really hard to talk about the things that were going on in my head and stuff. And I had, there were things going on in my head that I could not get out of my head, no matter how hard I tried. And in fact, the more I tried, the more they replayed over and over and over in my head, literally to the point of almost driving me insane. It was horrible. And this went on and on and on. A little bit later, I broke up. I mean, let's say a little bit later, quite a few years later, about the age of 19, I think I was. I broke up with a girlfriend at the time, fairly long-term girlfriend, and it was really, it was a bad moment for me, where that's where I really hit rock bottom, and became suicidal. And yeah, just my whole world crumbled around me. It really did, to the point where I got so bad, and I made a couple of attempts on my own life, that I ended up going into mental hospital for a little while on what they call respite. So I wasn't sort of forcefully put in, I wasn't sectioned, it was kind of voluntary. I was advised that this was the best thing for me, to get proper help and be monitored 24/7, and just take myself away from real life for a bit, and just get that respite. And I was medicated on antidepressants and things, and it was and that it did help, and it helped me to sort of reassess, and sort of showed me that there were people out there that cared as well. It did show me that. Anyway, I eventually got out there and sort of moved on with my life and got better, and went through periods of my life where things were quite good, but it was always there. It was always, and it would rear its head every now and again, and I would sort of have various coping strategies and things that would sort of push it back, push it down. And I tried to sort of push it to the back of my mind and try and have a life, work, have a good relationship with my girlfriend at the time, and friends, and social life, and just try and lead a normal life, and try to push this shit away, and just sort of almost run away from it, and escape it. And that used to be my coping mechanism, to just not ever let myself think. Literally, I used to watch movies all the time. Always had to have something on the telly. Couldn't sleep without the telly on. Still can't. Always be around people. Never liking to be on my own too much, to give my mind time to think. And it went on through then. And then years later, again, I kind of hit rock bottom again, and made another attempt on my own life at some point. When I say made an attempt on my own life, it was, some of them were, I would say, genuine attempts, and some were what they call a cry for help, whereas you're almost doing it but not really doing it, and you kind of maybe have second thoughts before you do. I don't really want to go into the full details of how I did, but basically, some of them was taking overdoses and things, then you have second thoughts and change your mind, and then you end up being rushed into hospital, and it's not a nice experience at all. But it's essentially a cry for help, if I'm honest. At the time it was, and so I went through various things like that, and it actually, I went through various things of counselling and things. I had hypnosis and see a psychologist and all this kind of thing. Lots of they got a thing in the UK here called Time to Talk, which is sort of like a counselling thing you can go to through the GP, and get counselling sessions and try and work through these issues and try and coping mechanisms and all this stuff. And I was diagnosed with OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, which it is not just liking to keep everything clean. Lots of people think that's all it is. It's so much deeper than that, trust me. That issues, it's a very serious issue. If you've really got OCD, it's something that does affect you mentally and can cause depression and anxiety and things, which is another thing I suffer from: OCD and anxiety. I suffer some pretty bad anxiety attacks at times, paranoia, and things like that. And but it wasn't until very recently, very, very recently, I'm talking like last year, I was watching telly, and there was a lady on the news, and she had made a program. I can't remember what the program's called, but it was like a comedy program. But it was based on her experiences with her mental health disorder. And it's a disorder, I'm trying to remember what it's actually called now. It's escaped my mind, and it's so important that I wanted to get the name of it exactly right. But the disorder is, it's a type of OCD, but it's basically covers what's called intrusive thoughts, and it's almost like horrible dark thoughts that come from an external source is what it feels like. They get in your head, and you try and get them out of your head, and you question them, and you question what they mean, and then they replay, and the more you try and battle it, the more they get in your head. And I'd been suffering with this for years and years and years, all through the 90s and the early 2000s, and no one ever diagnosed it exactly what it was. And it wasn't until this lady was talking about it that I was like, wow, she's literally just explained like exactly what I've been suffering with all these years, that no counsellor could ever give me a clear definition on what it was. And I broke down in tears when she talked, because it was literally over, for like 20 years of suffering with it, I had never heard anyone ever talk about it, ever. Not what I had. I had seen, various similar issues and slightly different things and issues, but no one had ever given it a label. And it's really killing me that I don't know what this label is. Give me a second to, I need to look it up for you guys. I need to, let me just, but yes, and I broke down in tears because it was just like, wow. And I was like, if only it had been known about in 1999, when I was suffering so bad with it that I was, losing friends, losing jobs, and just not being everything I could be, because this condition was holding me back. and I was suffering with the depression and anxiety because of this, thing. It would have helped me so much to know that, because I genuinely thought for like 20 years that I was the only person on earth suffering with this particular condition. Let me just have a look here. I've got to find. Oh, Well, I can't find it at the moment, but it's not a medical term. It's a term that's been put on it. It's a term that other people have given the term, but it's given it a label basically that sort of, in a weird way, it sort of helps itself that it's got yeah, can't find it at the moment, guys. Sorry, but yeah, there you go. Anyway, but that's my story anyway. Let me just quickly read in the comments because a lot of people have been chatting. All stuff says coming up with excuses for not painting your boys. Actually, I will have you know, just yesterday I have been painting my Grok crew, my gun, and they are almost done. I'll have you know. So yes, I have been painting. Thank you very much. Toku Chef says if you're aware of it, it's a lot easier. 100% it is. 100%, because then it starts making a bit more sense to you then. Someone there says weed is the answer, green is mean. From someone that used to smoke it a lot myself, yeah, I wouldn't want to say that. It can both help and hinder, I think, is what I will say on that, and very cautiously. I don't want to give the wrong advice to some people there. My good lady has experienced that, Stevo. Frightening at times, says Warzone Warlock. Yes, it is, buddy. It's terrifying. It really is. Absolutely petrifying. And it's killing me that I don't know this term that it's called, that it's just escaped my head, because it was the first time that I saw this video. It was given a term, so it was really important to me that I knew what that term meant. It's killer bit. If someone does know, please share it in the comments, because I will know it as soon as I read it. The not knowing the label is the worst because it makes you think you're the only one whose brain is working this way, says Gamers on Games. Yes, 100%, buddy. Green Type says, Stevo, you're rocking this, dude. Good on you. Thank you, mate. That means a lot, because this isn't easy for me, guys, to do something so publicly like this and talk about this stuff. Rat Prophet, weed can make it worse, particularly paranoia. Yes, 100% it can. It's whereas Green Tides 40K says weed has helped me immensely. It can depend on the issue, but it's certainly, I wouldn't want to put it as a blanket thing that help everyone, because some people, it can make it a lot worse. It's like Gamers on Games says, paranoia definitely can make it a lot worse. Personally, I think video games can be a mixed bag. My lowest point was when I was stuck in a depressive cycle of college, family problems, and competitive games. Yes, escapism, which is what we're going to get into in a bit as well. Warzone Warlock says, I think I'm managed by medical professionals under prescription. Cannabis can have a great effect with these sorts of conditions. Yes, depending on the condition. Games on Games, it used to affect me, but I have transcended paranoia. I don't suffer from it anymore. Now I'm addicted. I become depressed when I don't smoke weed. And there's the other issue with that. I used to be much the same when it wasn't pleasant person to be around. And that in itself can be a bad sign of it. Any kind of dependency on stuff like that, addiction, it's never a good thing. Woo, paint on models, says Daddy Harris. Yes, I'm getting paint on models. I really am, guys. I really am. Warzone Model says, I can't remember it either, lol. Yeah, it's killing me. It's driving me up the wall. I don't want to spend the whole video, though, scanning through my Google on my phone to try and find the name of it, because it won't be much fun for you guys to watch. Video games where you are doing constructive stuff like a sandbox, a strategy game, or completing a story like an RPG has helped me. You get something to show for it, and it isn't hours of frustration. Yes, I used to escape the stresses of life and things through video games a lot as well. Was it a British show? Yes, it was. I think it was on like BBC Three or something. I didn't actually watch the program itself. I just watched her interview about it. It was a comedy program about this condition. Learning that I'm not alone is the biggest help for this. Yes, 100%. It is a huge help knowing that you're not alone. This hobby has been immensely helpful for me. It made me my first real friend. And even though I moved, still drive 1.5 hours to hang most weekends. Well, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. If you know, this hobby is great in that meeting people and stuff, and meeting people from walks of life. And if you've made, and it's very sad that you say that you make your first real friend, not your only friend, your first real friend. But that's brilliant, mate. That through the hobby, you and someone else became really good friends from you. You know, that's brilliant. Stevo, we ever meet up, we get a pint and bro hugs. You down? For sure, my man, for sure. I've been to America a few times. I can't see myself having the money to be able to get there anytime soon. But if you're ever down the UK, it's on. Although I don't drink. I used to. I don't drink really anymore. Very rarely anyway. Matt Dillingham, you probably are the more qualified to name this label. Green Tide says, no, weed is not for everyone. Be careful if you don't know yourself and how you'll react. Very true. Especially with the strength of some weeds these days. They're a lot stronger than they used to be. And some people do have a bad reaction to it. It's different for everyone. For me, myself, alcohol, I know some people become alcoholics. I've known a lot of alcoholics over the years that have used alcohol to, you know, self-medicate. For me, it never really did that for me. I was always more weed. But like a lot of the people are saying here, I grew very dependent on it. And that in itself could be a problem. And yeah, it's, you know, it has its positives, but it has a lot of negatives as well. And, you know, it's, I'd be very careful to recommend that to anyone as a way to help with mental issues, certainly. Nick Williams says, I suffered with depression for years, most of my 20s, lost to it. Until early this year, I was diagnosed with severe sleep apnea, which can cause exacerbate depression. Warzone Morlock says, it's mindfulness. All of these games or video games are something that takes the present away and fills your mind with a shared experience. Tabletop gaming, painting, especially so. Yes, so I see a lot of comments now starting to come in and people talking about how either computer games or tabletop gaming has helped them. And yeah, this is how I'm sort of tying it into the channel and my usual topic of orcs and 40k and gaming, is that for me, wargaming has been a huge help. It really has. I used to, I've been playing on and off war games and collecting these models for years and years and years. But it was, for most of my life, a secondary love to me. My first love being computer games and movies as well. To a big degree, and this movies very much still are. I don't really play games that much these days, but I used to be heavy into gaming. Heavily into gaming, and it's a way to escape. It's pure escapism. Switch off from the real world, the stresses of work, the stresses of relationships, of you know, whatever is going on out in the outside those doors in the big scary world where it's a competitive environment. Not everyone's to be trusted. It can feel like everyone's out to get you sometimes. It can feel like, you know, if you suffer with paranoia, it feels like everyone's talking about you or plotting against you, or, you know, people are trying to humiliate you, or, you know, it can be a dark, scary world out there. It really can. And it's a, you know, and so any form of escapism is nice, where you can, if you thought about this stuff all the time, you would drive yourself insane. So being able to switch off and have a bit of escapism is healthy. Too much can be a bad thing. Trying to hide from your problems completely can be a bad thing, and you need to at some point face the problems head on and deal with some issues, because pure escapism, too much of it can be a bad thing, but certainly a level of escapism is healthy. It gives your mind a chance to focus on something positive, something that you enjoy, and switch off from those stresses for a bit. As long as it doesn't take over and it starts affecting your real life, like if you're staying up till sort of 5 o'clock in the morning, as I used to do, playing Xbox online, you know, or whatever, and which we've all done in gaming, that can be unhealthy for long periods of time, and it can start affecting you at work. And then you don't have enough sleep, and you feel tired, and when you're tired and lack of sleep, that makes things worse. So too much of it can be a bad thing. But yeah, so I used to do that a lot. I don't really have time for it anymore with kids and stuff. I don't have the time for the gaming. So I work quite long hours, and I've got children and things, and yes, so it does. You don't get the time to be able to, you know, experience that so much. But with the hobby and the gaming stuff, I found that that's a really good way to use my free time. It's a positive way. Like someone said in the comments there, you get to meet people, make friends. And I've met a lot of cool people through this, like Warzone Warlock. Met him at Idic Beer's tournament. Cool guy, very friendly guy. It's a shame we didn't get to play in that tournament, because I think it would have been a lot of fun. But you get to meet a lot of people like that. Capitan Morgan, I got to meet at the same tournament as well, face to face, and it's good fun to meet like-minded people with a shared interest. And that's one thing the hobby does. It can help get you out of the house to go and see a gaming club, to friends' houses and things, and socialise and over something positive that you've got a shared interest in. And also, it's quite calming. Making miniatures, converting miniatures, creating things, it gives you something to focus on, and you switch off from those issues and stuff out there in the real world, and you can get creative and use that energy for something positive. And painting stuff, like I spent the evening last night painting these Grot Crew, and it was very calming, very relaxing. After a day of being at work, getting the kids sort of never in, to then sit down and do some painting and stuff, you unwind, and it's relaxing. And then at the end of it, unlike with a computer game where you might complete the game, you might achieve a new level within the game, you don't, outside of the game, you don't really have anything to show for it. When you do this, you've got something to show for it. You've created something. You've, you know, created what I could truly consider little pieces of art. And you're developing skills and stuff, and it can be really healthy to have, whether it be this a hobby. And I think this is one of the best hobbies to have. It really is. Like I say, the social aspect of it, the creative aspect of it can really help when you are suffering with these mental issues and things, to use that energy and time and escapism in something positive. And for me, over the years, it's definitely helped. It really, really, really has helped. And but yeah, a lot of hobbies. I think I find that a lot of people that suffer things who don't have hobbies, they kind of just lose themselves in it. And a lot of people possibly lose themselves in the dark corners of social media. And it might be ironic that I'm on YouTube right now sharing a lot of my sort of quite personal stories with you guys, but I think people possibly, and I've been guilty of this myself in the past, sharing too much on social media, and maybe looking for help in the wrong places. And I think social media can be a dangerous place for this sort of stuff sometimes. I think you need to, if you're going to talk to people, it's better to talk to those you trust, whether it be close friends or family, or whether it be someone impartial, but just make sure it's someone you can trust to talk about these things with. Yeah, there you go, guys. So yeah, that's I mean, I'm sure many of you in the comments have been flying through. Everyone's getting involved in this conversation. Let's just have a look. Gamers on Game says, wait, you were up late playing Xbox? Were you the one screaming about fucking me mum? Fuck you, buddy. So glad I teabagged you. May have yelled something like that at some point, I'm sure. A few controllers went across the room at various times, that's for sure. I cherish my board game nights with people who are now my friends. It's great. Yes, it really is. I get a lot of enjoyment out of it, buddy. It's a much more positive experience, let's say, than what some people used to deal with. It is to go out at the pub on a Friday night and get absolutely smashed. And I've been known to do that in the past, in the years, to try and, you know, get away from your issues and stuff and problems. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. It makes everything 10 times worse, and it almost creates new problems. It's not healthy, and it's not good. I'm not saying don't drink at all. I'm not teetotal. but I certainly don't drink like I used to. I just don't really have any interest in it anymore. I think as I've aged, I've become what people would call quite boring, maybe. But yeah, alcohol certainly is never the answer, I would say. But yeah, a healthy hobby and contentment is what you want. You want to be content in your life. You know, if you've got a job that you like, things are going good in your relationship, in your family, you've got good, you don't need a large group of friends, but if you've got a good group of friends, that's all anyone really needs. You don't need wealth and money and riches. You just need to be content with what you've got in life. And I think that can help with your mental well-being and stuff. Games on Games, I've got bugger off in a few minutes, but I think you've inspired me to do something like this on my channel. Good, buddy. I know you've spoken about things like this in the past on the channel because I've watched them. And so, yeah, and I think it's good to raise awareness of this sort of stuff. Warzone Morlock says to create something by your own hand is a unique thing. It really is. I'm got several projects on the go at the moment, and I love creating stuff, and it's brilliant. I absolutely love it, and I love pouring my energy and imagination into that stuff and giving a positive outlet for my mind, basically. I have been diagnosed with ADHD and Asperger's. I love games, role-playing games and LARPing. I also love building and converting orky stuff. I find if I need to have something I enjoy to keep me busy. Yes, the same, buddy. Very much the same. I need to always be doing something. It might not appear that I'm doing much sometimes, but it gives my mind focus, and again, it's escapism, and it can be really healthy, and it helps, and it gives you some outlet. And for me, it's either hobbying, whether it be gaming, painting, converting, building, whatever, or doing this channel. For me, that's where I use my energy. That's where I sort of can't wait to get home from work and do. When I've got my free time, it's to do this kind of stuff. And it's not for everyone. Some people might be watching this video now because of the mental health issues and have no interest in the hobby whatsoever. But that's fine. But you have your own thing. Some people do fishing. Some people go cycling, running, whatever. It's really good to have an interest and an outlet to focus yourself on, and a passion. Sean Hope says, thank you, Stevo. I got to go make dinner. For me, it was just being myself, and finding out who that person is have been the best thing. You are always awesome. Thank you, Sean. Really cool of you to say, and good for you, buddy. Navini, go Necron, you never feel a thing again. Yeah. I've been there before. I've been Necron before. Crimson BRS says, getting smashed on substances only leaves you with a hangover, come down, and the same problems. So spend that time being proactive or resting, mind and body if possible. Good advice there, buddy. And my Mrs. Six Plus is on here, and she says it's called the condition. She says, Steve, it's called primary obsession compulsive disorder. Yes. Yeah, POCD. Yes, it had an abbreviated name though. Yeah. Thank you, babes. Thank you. She's obviously watching downstairs. Otaku Chef Emperor asks for way too many sacrifices. We don't talk about the Emperor here, buddy. Chris James, I found losing yourself in a creative project is the best way to get over a downer. Totally. Emperor's a liar. Go ask Lorgar. Was a lot of imperial speak going on in here. What's all this? Was it an automatic negative thoughts? Was it automatic negative thoughts? Yes, but that's not the condition I'm thinking of. Yeah, it's still good. I don't think it's quite nailed it. It had a one-word name. I think it's like an abbreviation. It's a variation on the OCD name, which I think my missus has touched on there. Primary obsession compulsive disorder. Yeah, that's probably more the medical term for it, but it's got a more catchy name, if that makes sense. I don't know what it's called. Like some people that suffer with that, what's that, seasonal affective disorder, SAD, where the changes in the weather can affect their mood and stuff. I don't know, that's a thing for some people. CM Morgan, it's been interesting. Got to go. Have to save last bit of battery waiting on police or wife to call, and they say they found the daughter. Oh, bloody hell, man. Sheesh. Okay, buddy, yeah, you go, because it sounds like you're literally dealing with this stuff right now as we speak. Wow. Good luck with that, buddy. Hope everything's okay. And I hope she's all right, mate. Wow. It's when people say things like that, it just proves that this stuff really, that it does need to be talked about, because there's people suffering from it right now. Navini 666, one needs some sort of connection to the real world, but at the same time one needs to disconnect from it once in a while. I'm just afraid that due to social media technology, people are disconnecting more than they should. Yeah, totally. And you hit the nail on the head there. It's like I say, escapism is good and it's healthy, and it's good to have an outlet and escape. Whether you escape into a movie or a TV show for an evening, just to have a break from whatever it is that's stressing you out, just the real world, life, work, whatever, that's healthy. To sink into it away completely. I know people that their whole lives are based around gaming, and they literally become hermits, and they don't work, they just stay in there. It's so unhealthy, and it's so bad, and it's not a good place to be in, and that in itself can cause depression and make people feel very disconnected from the real world in a very negative way. So it's a difficult balance to get right sometimes. Whereas personally right now, I think I've got the quite healthy balance with it, but it's taken years to sort of get to that point, if you know what I mean. Years of experiences and that. Dave Dog says, hope the daughter's okay, CM. Yes, we all do, buddy. I hope so. Wow, shocking stuff. M. Edvinson, plot twist, anything that gives pleasure can become addictive. Sound like a Slaneshi cultist there, buddy. Green Tie Footcase says, thanks for doing this, Stevo. Your message will help people for sure, dude. Thanks, Green Tide. And if it even helps just one person, then it's been worth it. It's been worth it. It's helped me to sort of talk about it. Warzone Warlock says, Steve, I've got to go. Good on you for doing this vid. Lots of good chat from everyone on it. It's been a pleasure. Laters. Thank you, Morlock. Thank you. And thanks for joining us, buddy. And we shall have to meet up for a game soon, because we never got to play at Edic's tournament. So that will be something we must do. I never work. I smoke weed and play video games all day. I'm fine, says Rat Prophet. Okay, well, good for you, buddy. Although, yeah, I was there once. It can't really last forever, though, buddy. I don't want to burst your bubble, but at some point you've got to get out there and work and earn the money, and But look, who am I to judge? It's your life. Do what you're going to do. Matt Dillon says, rumination, trying to think generic term rather than actual diagnosis. Nope, it's not that one, buddy. Nice try. Sorry. I know it's like a when I find it, I'm going to share it in the comments section after the video. Thaldor says, Steve, you're awesome, bud. Keep up with this and your channel. We all appreciate you, man. Thank you, mate. Real nice thing to say. Thank you. And Rat Prophet says, only in death do good times end. I think have you got that tattooed on your chest? I feel like you might have. Green Tide says, maybe we just need more DACA. There's not a problem you can't solve with more, without more DACA. Rat Prophet is lolling that one. I've got to have another quick. Sorry, I've got to have another quick look and try and find this this thing. Okay. Oh, okay. POOC. Yeah, POOCD. Primarily obsessional obsessive compulsive disorder. I still think there was another term for it, though. It's killing me. Killing me that I don't know it. Yeah, I'm just typical. See if I'd been better prepared. I should have been more prepared coming into it, but like I say, this sprung on me. But it seems to have gone quite well anyway, and it's been a good discussion, guys. But yes, so what I've done as well, guys, like I say, I haven't monetized this video. I've just shared it like this. I've shared in the comments section as well, not in the description to this video. I've shared a link to the World Mental Health Day site that has lots of various links and stuff, and there's things you can do on there. This year they have made it. I think every year they focus on a different area of mental health, and this year the area they're focusing on is suicide prevention year, which day is Suicide Prevention Day, I think they're calling it. And wow, yeah, you can't really get much more important than that, can you? And that is something that is, like I said, very close to my heart for obvious reasons. And it's something that is for someone to get to the point to suicide, it's really sad, because what that means is that person sees no white light at the end of the tunnel. That it's complete despair, complete loneliness and despair, in that no matter how bad things get, sometimes there's always a feeling that things will get better and you just come out the other end of it. But to hit a point so low and be so alone in your own thoughts that literally you just can never see a way out of it, is really sad. Someone to feel that low and that alone. And it's the most sad thing about it is that a lot of suicides and things can be prevented just by talking. And that, I think, is the message I want to leave with this at the end. Is just that, if I want to end on any message, is if there's anyone you're worried about, or anyone that you think may be acting a little bit distant, or maybe looks like they've got the weight of the world on their shoulders and maybe has not been coping with things well lately, pick up the phone or go round, or invite them round for a cup of tea or a coffee or whatever, and just see if everything's all right with them, and just let them know that there's someone out there that does care genuinely. And it could be without even realizing it, it could be the most important thing in the world to that person, and you could have sounds dramatic, but you could actually save a life, because it's incredible if someone's feeling that lonely and that down, that just something as simple as a text message or a phone call. I think a phone call is generally better than a text message, or being in person is generally better than any of that. A face-to-face conversation can be so powerful. It really can. And just letting someone know that you're there for them if they need you, and that can be really powerful things. People quite often don't like asking for help. You've got to kind of go and provide the help without them asking for it to a degree. But yes, anyway, I think I've pretty much covered everything I want to say. I see a lot of people in the comments section chatting away there, and it's great. I see lots of hearts now, lots of viewers sharing their love and stuff, and yeah, it's brilliant. Thank you guys so much for sharing and listening to me, and yeah, it's been really good, and I'm very pleased that I've done this video actually, and it's a cause that I truly believe in, because like I say, the stigma is still there, and so thank you very much, guys. Much love to you all, and remember, if you're suffering with any of these issues we've talked about, you're not alone at all. And pick up the phone and talk to someone who cares and stuff, and yeah, there we go, guys. Thank you very much. I will see you on the next much less important topic, or some people might think it's more important, on my next video, which will be back to talking about greenskins again, and orcs and miniatures and all this stuff that doesn't really matter, but we love it. And so yeah, we'll be back to normal programming. We'll resume on the next one. Thank you very much, guys. This is 6+ Stevo signing out. Look after yourselves, guys. Thank you very much for watching.